I guess, how big of a problem is that variant and then some others that we're seeing right now? Do you have a big concern, or you think that, look, these vaccines are going to give us a good amount of protection, we'll get booster shots to help down the road? What do you think the real risk is?
Well, I think we can stay ahead of it. We will have boosters hopefully available in time for the fall that target these variants. I don't think these variants, the South African Brazilian variant, P1 and B1351, are going to become a major issue in the United States until the fall at the earliest. Right now, they're very low prevalence here in the United States. And then we don't know if they're more fit. We don't know if they're more contagious, or that it's just founder's effect in these two markets. They got into these two markets and became the prevalent strain. We are more concerned about them than the UK variant because they do appear to be able to pierce prior immunity. So people who've had the infection, we believe they may be getting reinfected with these variants, and that's why you see it spreading in parts of Brazil and South Africa where they've already had a lot of infection. But we should be able to develop boosters that target these new variants within 4 to 6 months, so it gives us plenty of time to do that in time for the fall. And FDA right now is working on guidance that would lay out, I think, a pretty reasonable pathway for manufacturers to be able to advance those products. And all of them, as you know, are working on them, as well as the company I'm on the board of, Pfizer. The reason why we're more worried about those variants than the UK variant, right now the UK variant's here in the United States. It's probably about 5 to 10% of infections in Florida. And I think it's going to cause continued spread in that state. It's probably about 5% of infections in Southern California, much less everywhere else, maybe around 1% in other major cities. That's more contagious, so that could lead to more spread. But prior immunity and the vaccine seem to cover that pretty well. With P1 and B1351, the South African and the Brazilian variant, it does appear that prior immunity isn't as effective against those variants. You can get reinfected. That's why we're very worried about those.
Your op-ed today in the Wall Street Journal, I like, because it puts forth this tantalizing idea that soon we're going to go from the current problem we have, where it's a whole problem of supply, too much demand, not enough supply. We'll have the reverse of that at some point, where we have lots of vaccines and not enough people who want to take them. How quickly can we get to that point?
Yeah, I think it's going to happen all at once. I mean, this isn't going to be a gradual transition, and I think people are going to be surprised that it's going to happen sooner than we think. So if you look at the math, we're going to put about 220 million doses into the market by the end of March. And if J&J gets authorized, which I think they will, that'll be another 30, maybe 40 million doses. So figure 250 million doses by the end of March. And if a 60-40 split occurs, meaning 60% are first injections, 40% are second injections, which is probably about right, that's around 150 million people that will vaccinate between December and the end of March. I think that's going to work off a lot of the available demand. Then we're going to be putting another 100 million doses into the market in April. So I think once you're getting to those kinds of numbers, once you're looking at over, close to 200 million vaccines available for first injections, I think we're going to run out of demand. I think we're going to run out of demand sooner than we think. And I suspect that at some point in March, and certainly by the end of March, we're going to have to make this generally available. That doesn't mean everyone could go and get a vaccine on April 1st, but I think everyone's going to be able to go online and get an appointment sooner than we think. We'll still be rationing it through February, but at some point in March, states are going to have to make decisions about how to open this up more widely. And if we continue to ration it based on, more and more narrow slices of the population, it's going to get harder to administer. So I think we're just going to have to open this up to general availability, which is good news. I think certainly by April, this is going to be widely available because the demand's just not going to be there. We're going to have to work at it to try to get, the incremental patients vaccinated. I think the demand here, as I've said all along, is deep but not wide. There's probably about, maybe 100 million Americans that want this very badly. Beyond that, we're going to have to work at it.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.